Mercedes GLE is a large luxury SUV with a more dynamic look and feel than its M-Class predecessor. Beautifully made, quietly capable, and state-of-the-art in almost every conceivable way, it keeps its brand at the forefront of this segment. If you only need 5 seats from a car of this kind and want a prestigiously badged great all-rounder, it's a strong contender.
On the road, you'll find that Mercedes has usefully embellished the package offered by the old third-generation M-Class SUV this GLE is based upon. So mainstream models get a much more sophisticated 9-speed automatic gearbox, and across the range there's a new Dynamic Select vehicle dynamics system so that you can set the car up to suit the way that you want to drive. As before, there's a permanent 4MATIC four-wheel drive system, and most models get supple Airmatic suspension. This can be tweaked through sport, comfort and slippery settings of the Dynamic Select package, a setup that at the same time will alter steering feel, throttle response and gear shift timings. Now, you get more from these various modes if you pay the extra for the Active Curve Roll Stabilisation system that improves the ride and reduces body roll. Under the bonnet, the mainstream diesel engines have been carried over from that old M-Class model. There's a 4-cylinder, 2.1-litre, 204 brake horsepower unit and a base GLE 250D variant, frugal enough to return 49.5 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 155 grams per kilometre of CO2. Alternatively, the GLE 350D derivative we're trying here offers 258 brake horsepower from its 3-litre diesel V6. There is a 3-litre petrol V6 on offer too. It develops 367 brake horsepower in the GLE 450 AMG, or alternatively you can get it mated to an electric motor in a clever GLE 500E plug-in hybrid variant that puts out a combined 442 brake horsepower system output. At the top of the range, there's a Mercedes AMG 63S high-performance V8 petrol model with 585 brake horsepower. Now, that is not a car that you want to take off-road, but a mainstream diesel GLE variant like this one should actually be quite happy on the mud, especially if you specify an optional off-road package that provides a low-range gearbox, a centre differential lock, an extra off-road plus mode, and various extra ride height settings. This GLE is certainly a more purposeful looking thing than its M-Class predecessor, and it needed to be. If you're not going to provide 7-seat practicality in a large luxury SUV of this sort, then you need to have dynamic looks and a menacing overtaking presence instead. And that is something that, in truth, previous M-Class models never really had. Fortunately, though, for Mercedes, that now appears to have been effectively integrated into this car's DNA. So, you're getting the idea. In evolving its luxury SUV contender into this GLE, guys, Mercedes has spent its money where it matters. So first impressions are of a sportier, more dynamic car, both when first you see it from the front and when you take a seat here behind the wheel. In place of the dull, conventional, family-orientated layout of the old M-Class, you're sat more purposefully in front of a sportier, 3-spoke, leather-stitched wheel. No, you don't get the exquisite attention to detail you get in an S-Class, but specified correctly, it can feel very high-end indeed, especially if you pay extra for the stitched quilted leather of the plusher Designo line models or the piano black lacquered finishes that we got here. Time to pull back one of the wide opening doors and take a seat in the rear. Where you'll find a cabin with ample head and legroom that'll certainly feel luxurious enough for a couple of adults, even if they're 6-footers. Time to take a look out back and raise the standard electrically operated tailgate. Now, one of the advantages that this car holds over its BMW X5 arch rival is that it offers you 40 litres more boot space, the 690-litre total proving to be class-leading. And overall, well, it's true that there are sportier, more dynamic models of this kind that you could buy, but we're struggling to think of many that offer a better all-round package. Quick, capable, practical and luxurious. This is at last the car Mercedes always should have had in this segment.